Shalom Akim, Shalom, 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 Yahabashim Ashai, Bashim Kakadash, Barakatam, double honors and salutations to the elders of Apostle Grim Stone Ruel, to the Akim Akwat, proud of accordance of earth, holding on in sincerity and in truth, to the gospel of Lord, Mashak Yahushai, with diligence and sincerity of mind. It's Badam Nasha DC Camp, another lesson for the hopeful elect. So you see on the screen the new design for the American dime. All right, you see the the back of the coin, the tail side of the coin, with that's right there. So you see when you look at the regular dime, you always had the eagle having the arrows and the olives, the olive branch, you know, in his talons, and that's just what you see. But for the 250 year since America's independence, you know, from 1776 to 2026, that's 250 years, you have this design to commemorate that, and then you see the inscriptions on it. It says, United States of America, e pluribus unum, and you know what that means, out of many one. And then you have the lower inscription, one dime, liberty over tyranny. So this dime is already in circulation, I believe, and you're gonna have to understand that the vibration of independence, of separation from all these foreign domination of America's politics is gaining momentum. So it says United States Mint has introduced a 2026 dated emerging Liberty dime to mark the 250th anniversary of American independence, replacing the traditional Roosevelt design for 1 year. It features a forward-facing Liberty on the obverse and an eagle in flight clutching arrows on the reverse, omitting the olive branch for a liberty over tyranny team. Alright? Yeah, so that's the vibration, man. Yeah, and that's the motto of a lot of people, man. That's the motto of the people of America, man. Yeah, and let me pull up some more information. Uh, let's see. Yeah, that's a situation. that America has to deal with now, man. The people want this tyrannical drama over. You've had this so-called No Kings protest, even though it's being funded by the people at the top, the E class. But nonetheless, it doesn't take away from the people's sentiment because now the people are no longer going along with the E class agenda. So they're going to try as much as possible to contain that outrage and redirect it, but it's not going to succeed as they want it to succeed. That's the issue. They're going to have to fight that fight. Yeah, and that's a situation that's a lot of people have to address. So just like when Lincoln was assassinated at the Ford Theater, the assassin, aka John Wilkes Booth, he shouted what "Sic semper tyrannis," meaning "thus always to tyrants." Yeah, so that's a vibration, that the Lord is going to unleash upon the face of the earth because, there's going to be sedition. Just like we read in the book of Second Ezra, sedition is going to be the hot topic upon the face of the earth. You know, that's just how it is. Second Ezra chapter 15 and 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. And that's just what you're gonna have to deal with, man. You know, you're gonna see the people on the streets protesting, man. Because they're tired of all the drummer that Babylon is exacting upon them. And then it says what? The controversy, the omission of the olive branch, which means peace, has drawn scrutiny from some who interpret it as a focus on conflict. Though designers meant it to show colonists were still striving for peace. Yeah, but why did the British invade? And why did they go along with that same agenda of the British at the last? So, Second Ezra chapter 9 and 3 says, Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shall thou will understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Yep. So it's gonna be ugly, man. It's gonna be ugly for the people, man. They're not gonna be able to hold their wits together because the Lord has to squeeze them, man. Just like the grapes of the vine. So the First Thessalonians chapter 5 and 3 says, "For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape." All right. So it's gonna be horrible, when there is no opportunity for peace on the continent of America, man. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna be disastrous. It's gonna be so unbearable for a lot of people. Because that spirit of unity, man, is being trodden down, and the Lord has to snap America apart from within. That's why the E-class are in authority, man, because the Lord has to destroy America from within. So the elites in America and the so-called senators and congressmen and all these private corporations, they have to do their part in decimating the will of the people to to arise and have control over their so-called government agencies, the so-called government structure. So it's gonna collapse anyway. It has to be engineered from within. So all these government agencies are gonna have to crumble because they're not going to have the will of the people on their side anymore, man. There'll be so much subversion. There'll be so much instability that people are just gonna walk away, man. They'll have to wrap it up and forget about it. They're gonna have to go, overseas and write America off the map. That's just how it is. And then you have more people from America are immigrating, man. You have some that have renounced their citizenship and all that stuff. Because once you have that American citizenship, wherever you go upon the face of the earth, you're still going to be subject to payments. So that's one thing that they have to deal with. So as a citizen of foreign land, you're still going to be subject to taxes and all that stuff, despite you walking overseas and all that in a different country entirely. Yeah, so it's a feudalistic system, and taxation without representation. That's the issue. Just because you put someone in office doesn't mean you're being represented. So that's the challenge that the people will have to deal with, man. Peace doesn't have to mean the absence of war. Peace will also have to mean the absence of corruption, the absence of oppression at the workplace, absence of retaliation, the absence of wage manipulation, and all that stuff. The absence of cronyism. That's one thing that a lot of people are not happy with, man. It's as if the whole system is rigged. You know, so end of the day, man, that spirit of conflict is gonna rear its head. Again, between the people and the government. You already saw that with these protests of ICE upon the street of America. So it's gonna get active again, and the elephant in the room, which is going to be the empire, the American empire. We have to turn against its own citizens and Let's see how the so-called troops are going to deal with it, how the so-called National Guard are going to come against the American people. So that's the point of this lesson. You're going to see the controversy, you know, take shape. And hey, just pray that you don't get caught up in it. Shalom.